Happy Easter. It was a great week leading up to Easter with our Lenten Moments talks. And if you haven't heard those, I'd go back and watch them because they were all fabulous. Speaking of stories, when Ralph and I attended our first kindergarten parent-teacher conference for our girls, their wise and experienced teacher told us, I'll only believe 3/4 of what your girls tell me goes on at home if you'll only believe half or 3/4 of what goes on at school. Knowing our daughters and how much they love to share everything about themselves and their family at that age, we laughed and agreed 100%. The girls loved to talk, but most of their stories were 75% true on a good day. We all have a story to tell, stories which have different beginnings, endings, circumstances that define who we are, but we all have a story to tell. The most compelling stories are those that tell of our journeys with Jesus. These stories are just as unique as our DNA, but they still speak of God reaching out to us, loving and caring for us long before we were even aware of His love. These stories are most powerful when they're shared and can encourage others to tell or share their stories as well. My paternal grandmother and her daughter, my aunt, were storytellers. They loved to visit and could do it for hours around a meal table, and especially loved the opportunity to share stories about the past with me, my brothers, and my cousins. They could make a story come alive in the telling and teach us something along the way. There was always a lesson to learn and something like that, but they would talk about how people lived many years before we were born, like our great-grandparents and beyond that, and how we were all connected as ancestors. One time at a family gathering when our girls were about 10 or 12, my aunt had them enthralled hearing her stories and recollections about her life. And even though these were strangers to our girls, they were completely drawn in by all of everything that she had to say. Last Easter, our granddaughter Penny Jo became almost obsessed with the Easter story. She constantly drew pictures of the tomb and the 3 crosses and talked all the time about Jesus dying and being on the cross and coming to life again. Being 4.5 at the time, her story was very simple, but she told it over and over again, reminding us all that we should be sharing every chance we get of the message of God's powerful love, His sacrifice on the cross for the sins of all of us, and His amazing resurrection on Easter Sunday. In sharing Jesus' story, we're also telling our own, how our faith on Jesus has been built, one prayer and one moment of grace at a time. His redeeming love is the foundation on which we love our God with our entire being, and then go, just as He told His disciples long ago, to go and make disciples of Jesus Christ, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. As the old hymn declares, we have a story to tell to the nations that shall turn their hearts to the right, a story of truth and mercy, a story of peace and light. We have a message to give to the nations that the Lord who reigns up above has sent His Son to save us and show us that God is love. Hope this has been a fabulous Easter for you. Enjoy the week in the springtime. Have a great day. God's blessings to you. Bye.